Hi, my name is Phil. I like talking about politics. In this video, well, I just couldn't help myself. Due to a certain health-related global crisis which keeps cropping up, a number of Brexiteers have been somehow suggesting that this shows how great Brexit is, whereas in reality all they're actually highlighting is either their ignorance or just how destructive Brexit actually is. Either way, they seem to be falling over themselves to undermine their own Brexit arguments. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news in politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, shall we begin with one of the former Brexit Party MEPs? They're usually good for a laugh when it comes to showing themselves up fairly quickly. So, Rupert Lowe this time. Now, remember how all the Brexiteers said that, amongst other reasons, it was important to leave the EU in order to control our own borders. This idea that a country that is a member of the EU cannot control its own borders. Membership of the EU means open borders where anyone can just waltz into your country, free as a bird, no questions asked. I even talked about it in one of my Brexit Myths Busted last week. Well, Mr. Lowe has posted a tweet saying this regarding a certain unmentionable globe-trotting bug. Slovenia, he says, has now closed its border with Italy. The EU's love of open borders is being severely tested. So let's consider what he's saying there. In his second sentence, he's saying that the EU's open borders, these things that apparently you can just wander across, are being exposed as a bad idea. But his first sentence says that Slovenia, an EU member, has closed its border with Italy, another EU member. Hang on a minute. But if they're both EU members, and being a member of the EU, your border's got to be open, how has the border been closed? And if it's been closed, how is it open in the sense that Lowe and his fellow Brexiteers keep claiming? The fact is it isn't. When we talk about free travel in the EU, what we mean is that EU citizens can travel to other EU countries and work in other EU countries and settle and so on without the need for visas. There are still checks at the border and, Schengen, more freedom. But even there is a border, a physical border that can be restricted or even closed according to the needs of that country. You can check out my video on the subject for further details. I don't really need to repeat myself, but this tweet just goes to highlight the stupidity you have to reduce yourself to in order to go along with many of the Brexit arguments. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's stupid if you believed that the borders were open. I can understand how someone can believe that if that's what they were told and they've never actually travelled abroad to see the truth for themselves. If they've never crossed a border, how would they know how a border actually operates? But to be told that an EU border has been closed and that EU borders are open and the country has no control over its own borders in the same tweet and not scratch your head and wonder what's going on, that's a bit special, really. Then we have the likes of Stephen Berkeley, the former Brexit Secretary and now Chief Secretary to the Treasury, saying how great Brexit is because it meant that we were well prepared for this same globe-trotting virus. He said that our no-deal preparations had meant that we were well prepared for it and we've stolen a march on other countries. But again, consider what he's actually saying. He's saying that a no-deal Brexit is comparable to the most serious global pandemic we've had in some time. But weren't the Brexiteers all saying that a no-deal Brexit would be no problem? That not only can we cope with it, actually we can still flourish. It's still better than being in the EU. That a deal with the EU would be nice, but essentially it's only nice because we want to be nice to the EU. They're the ones who need it. We don't really need it. Pretty sure that's what they've been saying. I'm pretty sure that is still what they are saying. Because now what they seem to be saying, and this isn't just Stephen Berkeley, there's a few Brexiteers been saying this as well. What they seem to be saying is that no deal Brexit will be so destructive that the preparations we made for it are also suitable for the current global crisis. Which also begs the further question, how much of the resources that we have been acquiring due to this no deal planning will still be available for the no deal itself? Besides, apart from the stockpiling of medicines in Belgium, I've not actually seen any evidence of tangible no-deal preparations. Can anyone think of any? Other than a lot of talk, anyway. Time will tell if anything actually does help with this unexpected crisis, as opposed to the one that we're making for ourselves. But there we have it. The Brexiteers so delighted to be facing an extra national threat that they're undermining their own Brexit arguments. Can you think of any others? I could throw in a last one, of course, but I've already talked about it this week. Michael Gove with the Select Committee saying, oh no, we shouldn't do an economic assessment report on a no-deal Brexit because they're not terribly accurate. Oh, but we absolutely had to do an economic assessment report on the US trade deal because that's actually not going to come out as a complete disaster. So anyway, I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.